want to leave their empire and go out working hard like you and spreading the message of Lord Krishna. Prabhupada is very happy that he had caught his mood. Yes, that is our mission. That is the right attitude. Surrender. No, sorry. This is the right attitude. Surrender continued. Even if there is one bhakta, that is Vrindavan. Telling him that a bhakta creates Vrindavan, Prabhupada concluded. Krishna says, I do not stay in Vrindavan. I do not stay. Krishna says, I do not stay in Vaikunta. Naham tishtami Vaikunte yoginam hridayesha. Padma Purana. Neither I stay at the core of the heart of the yogis. Tatra tishtami narada yatra gayanti mat bhakta. When my pure devotee chants the glories of I immediately stay there. I immediately stay. I do not, it's not that he is packed up in some place. He is all pervading. Therefore his name is Vasudeva. Ishavashamidam sarvam. He is everywhere. Electricity is everywhere. Only one who knows how to take the electricity. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching and teaching, their effect you have to follow. Then our life will be successful. We don't manufacture ideas. That is not wanted. He said that some Hindus had manufactured the idea that if one goes over the sea, he becomes fallen. He shook his head in consternation because it was just the opposite of what the Lord had said. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Prahita Achayata Nagaradi Grama, foolish theories. Just see, as soon as you cross over the Bay of Bengal or Indian Ocean, you become immediately fallen. Citing the history of one politician who was invited to attend a conference overseas, he contrasted that with his own endeavors. He took so much Ganges earth. He was mixing that Ganges earth with water. He is going for political purposes and showing what is called hobby. This is not that now this movement is there, and unless we do it very sincerely and vigorously, it cannot be pushed on. Srila Prabhupada ki. Any questions or comments? No, so Prabhupada was mentioning that they had this concept in India that a sannyasi shouldn't cross oceans. Otherwise he become fallen. So this is exactly what Prabhupada did. Instead of becoming fallen, he was becoming very, very powerful. All over the world, people will become devotees by his association. So we continue with the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're reading verse 53. No? Is it 53? No. Why isn't it there? Huh? You are the new temple commander, no?
I was clicking on the database, but then everything disappeared again.
Yeah, you have to do this. You have to practice. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 7th chapter, verse 53. Tato harao bhagavati bhaktim karutatanabaha atmaupalhyena sarvatra sarvabhutat manishvare. Oh, you have your phones there with the verse? Okay. Tato haro bhagavati bhaktim kurutatanabaha atmaupam hena sarvatra sarvabhutat manishvare tato harao bhagavati bhaktim kurutatanabaha atmaupayena sarvatra sarvabhutat manishvare tato haro bhagavati bhaktim kurutatanabaha atmaupayena sarvatra sarvabhutat manishvare. Tohara Bhagavati Bhaktim Kurutanavaha Atma Payena Samvatra Hello Bhagavati Bhaktim Kurutanavaha Atma Payena Sarvatra Sarva Bhutat Manishvare. Dreiundfünfzig. Tathau haro bhagavati bhaktim kuru tadanavaha Admaupayena sarvatra. Kannst du nicht lesen? Ach so, okay. Tata, therefore, Harau, unto Lord Hari, Bhagavati, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhaktim, devotional service, Kuruta, execute, Dhanava, O my dear friends, O sons of demons, Atma Aupamyana, just as one's own self, Sarvatra, everywhere, Sarvabhuta Atmani, who is situated as the soul and super soul of all living entities. Ishvare, unto the Supreme Lord, the Controller. Translation. My dear friends, or sons of the demons, in the same favorable way that one sees himself and takes care of himself, take to devotional service to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present everywhere as a super soul of all living entities. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word Atmaupayena refers to thinking others to be like oneself. One can very intelligently conclude that without devotional service, without becoming Krishna conscious, one cannot be happy. Therefore, the duty of all devotees is to preach Krishna consciousness everywhere, all over the world. Because all living entities without Krishna consciousness are suffering the pangs of material existence. To preach Krishna consciousness is the best welfare activity. Indeed, it is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as para upakara, work for the true benefit of others. The activities of para upakara have been especially entrusted to those who have taken birth in India as human beings. Bharata bhumine haila manusya janmayara janma sataka karikara para upakara. Chaitanya Chaitamrita Adi Leela 9:41. The entire world is suffering for want of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised all human beings born in India to make their lives perfect by Krishna consciousness, and then preach the gospel of Krishna consciousness all over the world, so that others may become happy by executing the principles of Krishna consciousness. So we read the verse again. Tato harao bhagavati bhaktim guru tatanavaha atma yena sarvatra sarva bhutat manishvare. My dear friends, O sons of the demons, in the same favorable way that one sees himself and takes care of himself, take to devotional service to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present everywhere as a super soul of all living entities. So, I just read this text before for class, and I discovered that this is Prabhupada is mentioned the Bharata Bhumite Haila Manusya Janmayara Janma Satara Kari Kara Para Upakara verse. It's a very important verse. Prabhupada has cited this verse many times. I was thinking that maybe we should read the original verse from the Chaitanya Chaitamrita with its purport. No? So it starts, Bharata bhumite haila manusya janmayara janma sataka kari para kara para upakara. One who has taken birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatavarsha, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. And Prabhupada gives a long explanation here. The magnanimity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is expressed in this important verse. Although he was born in Bengal, and Bengalis therefore have a special duty towards him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is addressing not only Bengalis, but all the inhabitants of India. It is in the land of India that actual human civilization can be developed. Interesting. No? It is the land of India that actually human civilization can be developed. No? That means in other places it's more difficult. Human life is specially meant for God realization, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra, Atato Brahma Jikyasa. Anyone who takes birth in the land of India, Bharatavarsha, has a special privilege of being able to take advantage of the instruction and guidance of the Vedic civilization. He automatically receives the basic principles of spiritual life. For 99% of the Indian people, even simply village farmers and others who are neither educated nor sophisticated, believe in the transmigration of the soul. Important point. You know, as soon as you leave these big cities in India and you go to outside the cities, immediately there's much more culture, more tradition. No, and like Prabhupada says here, and they all accept. No, that this is not the only life. After this life, life continues. Even the Prabhupada says here, even the uncivil, apparently very low-class people, they're conscious of this. And also that they are very conscious about the law of karma. No? They know, oh, if I commit a sinful activity, I have to rectify this. Somehow or other. Practice some pious activity or give something to the temple or something like that. I mentioned yesterday that in India it's very common that when people go to the temples, they always bring an offering. They bring flowers, When before entering the temple, they have all these shops outside the temples, where they say garlands, and they say also they come not anymore now. But when we started going to India, there was still the paisa, rupees and paisa, and these paisas, they were very small aluminium coins. And they had these changers. People would go and give them a 10 rupee bill or 5 rupee bill, and they would get a lot of paisas. And then they would go into the temple and they throw the money in front of the altar. And there's so many coins laying there that the pujari came with a basin. What is basin? With a broom, to get them all together. Anyway, coming back here. So Prabhupada says, for 99% of the Indian people, even simply village farmers and others, who are neither educated nor sophisticated, believe in the transmigration of the soul, believe in past and future lives, believe in God, and naturally want to worship the Supreme Person of Godhead or His representative. That's why still it's very common. When the sannyasi comes into the village, immediately he has to come and invite him to take prasad at their home, to sanctify their homes like that. India has many holy places of pilgrimage, such as Gaya, Benares, Mathura, Prayag, Vrindavan, Haridwar, Rameshwaram, Jagannath Puri, and still people go there by the hundreds and thousands. Just like Kumbh Mela, this big festival. Last time it was celebrated in India, all over the world, the newspaper said this is the biggest religious festival in the world. And they all go just to dip into the 3 rivers that are there. I don't remember the names of the rivers, but the 3 rivers. They join there, and that's a very special time to take bath and become purified of your sinful reactions. That's why so many people go there. And the devotees are also there. Prabhupada insisted very much that devotees are always present there. And I remember Prabhupada went there just before Prabhupada, I don't know, I think it was in 76. Before Srila Prabhupada became very weak and all this. He went there with the devotees. And then at one point Prabhupada noticed that the devotees were not taking bath in the river because the river was too cold. So when Prabhupada heard that, he went down to the river and take his birds there to give an example. Devotees were shocked that Prabhupada took bath in such cold water and all that. Anyway, so Gaya, Benares, there's so many holy places. And it's also the most holy place in the whole universe is where Krishna appears. Krishna in its original form and manifests his transcendental pastimes in that place. His most intimate pastimes. And that's why, at least in the past, even the demigods, they wanted to be present there in this place and assume a very, very humble, very insignificant position to be present when Krishna was there. And that's why also I told you the other day that when we used to go to Vrindavan in Mayapur, the first thing we did when you arrived at these places, we were supposed to throw ourselves like a danda in the dust. Because this dust had been touched by the lotus feet of Krishna. And you're supposed to do that without any social consideration. And not only do it, but also like this. So your whole body is covered with the dust of Vrindavan. Sorry. So, and still people go there by the hundreds and thousands, although the present leaders of India are influencing the people not to believe in God, not to believe in the next life, and not to believe in a distinction between pious and impious life. And although they are teaching them how to drink wine, eat meat, and become supposed civilized, people are nevertheless afraid of the four activities of sinful life, namely illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. This is practically the base. These four principles are the base. Like Baba said, it's like the you like this little table here. It has four legs to maintain this platform. And these legs are compared to the sinful, to the principles. And these principles maintain the platform, the base for spiritual life. And when you do that, when you follow these principles practically, there's so many more sinful activities that expand from these four. But if we just simply follow these four principles, just like I read a letter the other day, a letter that I received from Srila Prabhupada about Jesus Christ. And Prabhupada expressing in the letter, he says, if you follow the four regulative principles, automatically you follow the 10 commandments of the Bible also. And then Prabhupada says, nowadays people are more advanced, so-called advanced technology and all that. And they're more educated. So Prabhupada said, now it's time to give them the books, give them Shastra. This is what it's meant by having intelligence or being educated. The ultimate end of education should be that a person becomes surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord. This is Vedic culture. Vedic culture. Like the whole Varnashrama Dharma system is based on this principle. If you adapt to the Varnashrama Dharma system, naturally and systematically, you will come to the platform of becoming a devotee after some time. And we are very blessed because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced us directly to devotional service, without having to go for so many lifetime karma, jnana, yoga, and all this. We were directly introduced to devotional service. And the process, as we all know, is the Sankirtan Yagya, the chanting of the holy names. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, hearing and chanting about Vishnu. It's very important. It says Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. To make clear that actually this should be based on Vishnu, on Krishna, not on Durga or whatever, Kali Kali. Namely, this is sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. And whenever there is a religious festival, they gather together by the thousands. We saw this when Prabhupada started going to bringing his disciples to India in the beginning. Prabhupada always wanted these big pandals, these tents. They put these big, huge tents. And when Prabhupada appeared in these tents, there were thousands of people there. Thousands of people. They were amazed to see Prabhupada's disciples, Western disciples. The Prabhupada used to call them the white elephants. When there's an elephant, it immediately calls your attention. Hati, hati, look, hati, hati. In Mayapur, we also had elephants. And the lady who came the other day, Rimati, she was in charge of these elephants for a long time, many years. Anyway, so when pilgrims come to Mayapur, and they see the elephant, hati, 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 hati. Why? Because they're so big, and they call the attention. But then there's an albino. How you say? A white elephant. Wow, it's even. And Prabhupada used to call his disciples the white elephants in India. And sometimes Prabhupada would call one disciple and put him there and said, he took drugs before. He ate meat. Wow. And now he's completely changed. He experienced a change in heart. And so many people came. Anyway, so we have actually experience of this. Whenever the Krishna conscious movement holds Sankirtan festivals in a big city like Calcutta, Bombay, Madras, Ahmedabad, and Hyderabad, thousands of people come to hear. Sometimes we speak in English, but even though most people do not understand English, they nevertheless come to hear us. Even when imitation incarnations of Godhead speak, people gather in the thousands, for everyone who is born in the land of India has a natural spiritual inclination and is taught the basic principles of spiritual life. They merely need to be a little more educated in the Vedic principles. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, here, Janma Sartaka Kari Karapada Upakara. If an Indian is educated in the Vedic principles, he is able to perform the most beneficial welfare activity for the whole world. No, this was the meaning of the word, of the verse. No, if you're born in Bharatavarsha, no, and I told you the other day that the Indian government is trying to change the name. No more India, Bharata. Bharata, no? Actually it was Bharatavarsha. Varsha means island. You know, just the planets are described in the Vedic literature like islands in a big space. You know? Yeah. And so when somebody is born in Bharatavarsha, he should make, what was the translation? I'll read it again here. One who has taken birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatavarsha, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. Yeah, Prabhupada many times said this is actually the instruction Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us for preaching. You know? We should make our life successful, like it says here, successful, and then work for the benefit of all other people. Very important point. And that's what Prabhupada gave us his example. Prabhupada gave us his example. And he mentioned that even when in India, the Mayavadis or some Sahajiyas or whatever, they make their festivals. So many people come. And Prabhupada says here, so there's need of education. Education. Just like the other day, the last days, we had big festivals down there in the temple. And they were all Indians. Didn't you notice? All Indians. Like a festival in India. And how come so many Indians come? Because they have this natural inclination. Yeah? Many times you meet Indians, and they say, yes, my grandmother was also devotee. Yeah? Or my aunt was a saintly person like that. Yeah? They all have this in their tradition. And that's why when they come here, and here mostly young people, young Indians are coming here, because the government here is giving this facility. They can come here and study, and then after they study, they offer them jobs also. I heard this. The German government had a special arrangement with the Indian government. That they give special visas to the Indians to work here, because most of the Indians who come to work or work here, they're educated. They have studied here, and then they give them jobs, IT jobs. And that means related to programming and computer and all this. Yeah. And the need for them is very nice. It's very popular. Now I read the other day that the American president is he became envious of all the Indians who are coming to work in America, and who have taken over very important jobs. Even there was somebody became a mayor of New York who was descended from Indians and all that. Anyway, so he stopped it. He said that if they want to come here and do this important work, they have to pay for the visa $100,000, was it? No, something like that. Yeah. And so, and all these young Indians, Prabhupada mentions here, they have to be properly educated. They should hear classes. They should read Srila Prabhupada's books. Because many times when they come, they're surprised to see the devotees. What? You follow these principles? You're vegetarian? As a Westerner, you're a vegetarian? No illicit sex life? No girlfriends? When Srila Prabhupada came to the West in the beginning, he was very surprised to see all the young boys and young girls together. Because when we went to India the first times, we were surprised to see you never saw young girls and young boys together. They were always having their own groups, the girls and the boys, like that. Of course, now it's changing in the big cities. So when Prabhupada saw this, he insisted that they marry. And then Prabhupada started marrying the devotees. And then he saw that these marriages are not working properly. They divorcing and all that. No? Like I mentioned the other day, there's no term in Sanskrit for divorce. Doesn't exist. No, is it? Doesn't exist. No? No? And then Prabhupada made another arrangement. He said that, okay, before we marry you with a ceremony, you have to get legally married and prove yourself for some time. And then we are going to marry you. Yeah. But in the beginning, Prabhupada was very insistent that they all participate in the fire ceremony and all that. Anyway, so and whenever there is a religious festival, they gather in the thousands. But even though most people do not understand English, they nevertheless came to hear us. This is another thing that happened also. Sometimes Prabhupada started speaking in Hindi or Bengali in conference or classes like that. And devotees were getting up, and they wanted to leave because they couldn't figure out. And Prabhupada insisted, you stay here. Even though you don't understand, you also benefited by this vibration, sound vibration. And also he wanted to be his disciples to stay, to give an example to the Indians. Yes. And many times, like I mentioned, the Indians are very surprised. What? You are following these principles? How come you Westerners and you follow these principles? They become very impressed. So Prabhupada says here, the only thing they need is more education. If an Indian is educated in the Vedic principles, he is able to perform the most beneficial welfare activities for the entire world. What a vision, huh? Prabhupada had always this vision, the world vision. Not so much so this is not limited to region or to certain people, but actually the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was meant for everyone. I just heard a conversation with Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, that everyone is benefited. Everyone who hears the holy name, associates with the devotees, gets some prasad. Without we should distribute Krishna consciousness without all these discriminations, all these upadis, free from all these designations. And as a fact, like in our temple, there's hardly any Germans anymore. They're all foreigners. Actually, this is a real United Nations. When Prabhupada came to New York, he mentioned many times said actually that United Nations on the material platform, they're useless. They're more, instead of uniting, they're appearing more and more new flags, more divisions, more new countries like that. Whereas ISKCON, we are everywhere, all nationalities. And they all chant Hare Krishna, be happy. You can see it all over the world. So, at present, for want of Krishna consciousness or God consciousness, the entire world is in darkness, having been covered by the four principles of sinful life: meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, and intoxication. Therefore, there's a need for vigorous propaganda to educate people to refrain from sinful activities. This will bring peace and prosperity. The rogues, thieves, and debauchees will naturally decrease in number, and all of human society would be God conscious. I remember there was an incident in Texas, in America. I don't remember which city it was. Devotees were looking for a new temple, a building. And somehow they only got a building in a very low-class area. A lot of dealing, I say, criminals and this and that. And then the police, had every year they made a strategy, not a strategy. And I say, they were how criminality was developing in that place. Yeah. And after the devotees had gone there, after years, the delinquency went down and down and down and down. Yeah. And they were very thankful for the devotees to be there. Yeah. The practical effect of our spreading the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world is that now the most degraded debauchees are becoming the most elevated saints. Did you understand? Yeah. There is only one Indian humble service in the world. If all Indians had taken this path as advised by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, India would have given a unique gift to the world, and thus India would have been glorified. Yeah. Prabhupada says only one had gone to the West. He's referring this to himself. Actually, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also sent disciples to the West, started with this. And there was one disciple came to Germany, and one went to London. Yeah. And I saw some photos of the devotee, disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta who had gone to London. No, actually were two. I think were two. Yeah, two. And but they only try to reach elevated people. You can see there's a photo where they're in line to have the audience of the king, the British king, who they would go and see him and say, Hare Krishna. But Pawan had a completely different mood, like the one who came to Germany also, because they took some interest. The Nazis took some interest. Yeah, they took some interest because of the swastika and all this. Yeah, and but and there, I remember his name. What his name was. He spoke in different universities in Germany. He went to Prague, to Czechoslovakia, now it's Slovakia and Czech. And I have a godbrother who there was a family from there, refugees who came to Germany. And he became a devotee here. He actually became one of the biggest book distributors at his time. Yeah, and then he went back, because the communist countries were kind of liberated from the dictatorships, and so he went to different universities to see if there was still some of the classes that sannyasi had given. Found something. He found something. And he noticed that when this sannyasi was preaching over there, he spoke a lot of varnas and all this. And also refuting the idea that Nazi, or Aryan, the Nazi concept of Aryan was not the right concept. Because actually Aryan refers to a very advanced, spiritually advanced person. And this doesn't depend on your varna or whatever, on your designations. Yeah. So, and the Nazis also sent a group to India to find the origin of the Aryan race. There are books about that. Yeah, I just mentioned it because I just heard Prabhupada speaking about Aryan. Aryan. Like he says, Arjuna, you're not an Aryan. If you don't want to fight in this battle, if you're not complying with your Varna, then this is sinful. No, because Arjuna at one point he was rejecting. No, he didn't want to fight because he was completely on the bodily concept of life. No, but because he was a kshatriya, no, Krishna occupied him according to his Varna. No, he told him, if you don't want to fight now, sooner or later you fight again because you're kshatriya. No. Anyway, so let's continue a little more. There's a very nice purport to this verse, famous verse. Now, however, India is known as a poverty-stricken country. And whenever everyone from America or another opulent country goes to India, he sees many people lying by the footpaths for whom there are not even provisions for 2 meals a day. There are also institutions collecting money from all parts of the world in the name of welfare activities for poverty-stricken people, but they are spending it for their own sense gratification. Now, on the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Krishna conscious movement has been started, and people are benefiting from this movement. Therefore, it is now the duty of the leading men in India to consider the importance of this movement and train many Indians to go outside at India to preach this cult. Yeah. And now actually they have a president in India. What's his name? Yeah. No. He's very, very favorable with ISKCON. He has noticed that actually our movement, ISKCON, is the best. This is his goal. The best of all these spiritual movements that went to the west from India. Yeah, and he's very, how you say, he's very impressed by our activities. Like I told you the other day, when he travels, many times devotees also appear, to receive him at the airports or. And then he always said, "Oh, you're here also, huh? Hare Krishna." Yeah. And I told you the story the other day, that in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, we have one of our ladies, devotee ladies. She's become very famous in Argentina for her cooking. She has a restaurant, and she's always invited. She speaks on TV also about vegetarian cooking and all this. And he's also invited sometimes when they have these in big hotels. They organize that different cooks come to show the different cultures cooking and all this. And she's always there. Also, when she goes to TV and teach, she's always with sari, tilak, the dot here and everything. Yeah. And and so the embassy has become very, 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 how you say, very favorable for ISKCON, especially the ambassador. Now they changed him. But anyway, so he would always introduce the people, important people with the government or something like that coming to Argentina. He would always take them to her restaurant and introduce them to Krishna consciousness. But Prabhupada mentions here, in the beginning, when he came to the West, this concept was very strong, that India was begging. They were all begging to counteract the poverty in India. And it's a fact. When we went to India, it was amazing. Like for example, when we went the first time to Mayapur, then we didn't go directly to Mayapur from the airport, from Dum Dum. Now it has a different name. But we went to the temple, local temple, and we had to cross how you say, a slum, the kind of low, very poor people and everything very dirty and all that. And I remember we were driving through this, and we were shocked. Kind of, what is this? Yeah. Now it's a little different, even though poor people are still there. But you can notice when you see these poor people, They have culture. They have culture. Even though they're the most poor, the ladies wear their saris. And the children are also properly educated, even though they sent them to beg, But when they see a sannyasi dressed in saffron, or they go there. Normally in India they make like this, touching their heart. Anyway, so let's continue here. People will accept it. There will be cooperation among the Indian people, amongst other people of the world. And the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will then be fulfilled. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will then be glorified all over the world, and people will naturally be happy, peaceful, and prosperous, not only in this life, but also in the next. For, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, anyone who understands Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will very easily get salvation, or freedom from the repetition of birth and death, and go back home, back to Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore requests every Indian to become preacher of his cult, to save the world from disastrous confusion. Yeah. This is not only the duty of the Indians, but the duty of everyone. And we are very happy that Americans and European boys and girls are seriously cooperating with this movement. At this time in the beginning, the devotees were all from either Europe or from America. And now it's distributed all over the world. There's even, I heard there's much more preaching in Russia and I don't know if still, but it was. There were so many people becoming devotees in Russia, and also in the communist countries, in Poland also, and like that. And so it says here, this is not only duty of Indians, but the duty of everyone. That means that once you become a devotee, it's your duty to give it to others. Just like it says, when you're born in India, in Bharatavarsha, you should make your life perfect and then help others. This was, like I always mention it, this was Prabhupada's mission, that we should compart Krishna consciousness with others. Spread it, preach, go out. Like you're now going out in Harinam. So many people will see the devotees. And welfare activity of all human society awakens man-God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Therefore, everyone should help this great movement. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 22nd verse 35, which is next quoted in the Charitamrita. Yeah, it says here, Etavachi janma sapalyam dehinam iha dehishu pranaira haidya bacha shreya acharam sada. It is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. Purport. There are two kinds of general activities, shreyas, or activities which are ultimately beneficial and auspicious, and prayas, or those who are immediately beneficial and auspicious. For example, children are fond of playing. They do not want to go to school to receive an education, and they think that to play all day and night and enjoy with their friends is the aim of life. Even in the transcendental life of Lord Krishna, we find that when he was a child, he was very fond of playing with his friends of the same age, the cowherd boys. He would not even go home to take his dinner. Mother Yashoda would have to come out to induce him to come home. Thus it is the child's nature to engage all day and night in playing, not caring even for his health or other important concerns. This is an example of prayers, or immediately beneficial activities. But there are also shreyas, or activities which are ultimately auspicious. According to the Vedic civilization, a human being must be God conscious. He should understand what God is, what this material world is, who he is, and what their interrelationships are. This is called Shreyas, or ultimately auspicious activities. In this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that one should be interested in Shreyas. To achieve the ultimate goal of Shreyas, or good fortune, one should engage everything, including his life, wealth, and words, not only for himself, but for others also. However, unless one is interested in Shreyas in his own life, he cannot preach of Shreyas for the benefit of others. And it was a long, long purpose. What is the time? I can't see. That's still, yeah. This verse cited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu applies to human beings, not to animals, as indicated in the previous verse by the words Manushya Janma. These injunctions are for human beings. Unfortunately, human beings, although they have the bodies of men, are becoming less than animals in their behavior. This is the fault of modern education. Modern educators do not know the aim of human life. They are simply concerned with how to develop the economic condition of their countries or of human society. This is also necessary. The Vedic civilization considers all aspects of life, including dharma, religion, artha, economic development, karma, sense gratification, and moksha, liberation. But humanity's first concern should be religion. To be religious must abide by the orders of God. But unfortunately, people in this age have rejected religion, and they are busy in economic development. Therefore, they will adopt any means to get money. For economic development, one does not need to get money by hook or by crook. One needs only sufficient money to maintain his body and soul. However, because modern economic development is going on with no religious background, people have become lusty, greedy, and mad for money. They are simply developing the qualities of rajas, passion, and tamas, ignorance, neglecting the other quality of nature, sattva, goodness, and the Brahminical qualifications. Therefore, the entire society is in chaos. The Bhagavatam says that it is a duty of an advanced human being to act in such a way as to facilitate human society's attainment of the ultimate goal of life. There's a similar verse in the Vishnu Purana, part 3, chapter 12, verse 45, which is next quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we continue with this verse also. Praninam upakaraya yat evaha paratracha karmana manasavacha tat evamati man bhajet. By his work, thoughts and words, an intelligent man must perform actions which will be beneficial for all living entities in this life and the next. Unfortunately, people in general do not know what is to take place in the next life. To prepare oneself for the next life is common sense and is a principle of the Vedic civilization. But presently people throughout the world do not believe in the next life. Even influential professors and other educators say that as soon as the body is finished, everything is finished. This atheistic philosophy is killing human society. People are irresponsibly performing all sorts of sinful activities, and thus the privilege of the human life is being taken away by the educational propaganda of so-called leaders. Actually, it is a fact that this life is meant for preparation for the next life. By evolution, one has come through many species or forms, and this human form of life is an opportunity to promote oneself to a better life. This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita 9.25. Yanti devarvata devan pitrin yanti pitrivrataha bhutani yanti bhutechya yanti madhyajinopimam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth amongst the demigods. Those who worship the ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. Therefore, one may promote oneself to the higher planetary systems which are the residents of the demigods, can promote himself to Pitriloka, one can remain on earth, or one can also go back home, back to Godhead. This is further confirmed elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita 4:9. Tyaktva puna janma naiti mamita sojuna. After giving up the body, one who knows Krishna in truth does not come back again to this material world to accept material body, but he goes home, back to Godhead. This knowledge in the Shastras, and people, this knowledge is in the Shastras, and people should be given the opportunity to understand it. Even if one is not able to go back to Godhead in one life, the Vedic civilization at least gives one the opportunity to be promoted to the higher planetary systems, where the demigods live, and not glide down again to animal life. At present, people do not understand this knowledge, although it constitutes a great science, for they are uneducated and trained not to accept it. This is a horrible condition of modern human society. As such, the Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope to direct the attention of intelligent men to a greater benefit in life. Often Prabhupada said, we are the only movement, the only education to understand the real purpose of life and prepare for the next life. This is the only movement or system of education where this is taught. Nowhere else. And Prabhupada is emphasizing this is an urgency. This is not something for the future. No, now. Now books have to go out. Now we have to make devotees. Now we have to do Harinam. Now we have to be present and preach and attract the conditioned souls to this the real purpose of life. Just like Prabhupada in the beginning, he said, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and be happy. Why you do this? Because I'm happy. If you show me something better, I will go with you. But until now, I have not found anything better. Jai. No? It's the best food, the best company, the best philosophy. Everything is the best. And we have to maintain it properly. Then it's the best. If we become negligent as devotees or administrators or leaders, then it's not the best anymore. And people will not become. They will not feel this happiness. Yeah. What do you think? We ourselves have to give an example. Not him or her. Yeah. They're all great souls, Prabhu. I'm fallen. No. It's your duty. It's your duty to be a front man, to give an example. So when new people come, they'll be surprised. Oh, they have such nice qualities, these devotees. They're so kind. Yeah. They're so intelligent. It's amazing what they know. Yeah. And did you taste this food? No? Srila Prabhupada Ki. Any questions? Any comments? Yeah?
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I'm thinking about this, what I'm asking now very often in the street.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's going for the Krishna, for the followers of Srila Prabhupada, not so easy to do all these things. Yes, and we really give, I don't know, about the others much to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's wish and program and system to us. But I see so many churches, very many official centers.
What? Official what?
Official centers.
Yeah. Churches.
It's official center. Mm-hmm. Governmentally accepted center.
Yeah.
Yes, empty, and nothing happens. But there are so many. So how it is?
It comes from a different time.
Disbalance.
When you go to South America, the churches are all full of people.
Full.
Yes.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's amazing. They have got many churches and they're all full. People are very religious. Yeah.
But it would be better.
They have a lot of places of pilgrimage also. Yeah? Where miracles have happened. Yeah? For example, in Costa Rica, close to our farm there's a church. There's a virgin, like a little virgin. How you say, like a Maria? No? And people have gone there and prayed, to cure their knee, or to solve their economic problems, and they found themselves blessed, And then they come back and they put a little sign, on the side of the altar, Thank you very much, Virgin, that you have solved this problem, and they're full of signs, Yeah. They took me to one place also once. I had a problem with my cervicals, here. I couldn't move the neck, hardly move the neck anymore. And devotees, due to their tradition, this is their tradition, they took me also to one of these places. And they prayed,
But that is called prayers. That is not shreyas.
Yes.
And that is my question.
Very good.
Why it so happened?
Yeah.
Because that is really, it is a waste of time, somehow, more or less.
Yes, yes.
It makes the people a bit more.
That's why your service is so important. Yeah. Your service, your contribution is prayers. Yeah. You're giving them long time benefit.
But I ask, why?
Because they're all under the influence of the modes. Everyone in the material world, everything is under the modes. Influence of the mode. Tamaguna, Rajaguna, Sattvaguna. Yeah? But there's no Shuddha Sattva. There's no pure Sattva. And that is Krishna consciousness. Yeah? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that the modes are always in competition, kind of. Just like, for example, people now, they're very happy for Christmas and all this. Like here, it's different. In South America, it's another way. It's summer, not winter. In Argentina, it's now summer. And so for Christmas, they all go to their farms. They're there with the trees, the flowers, and all that. But at the same time, they take vino tinto. Red wine, and they hear with their radios and their TV all kinds of nonsense. But in this surrounding of goodness, they are in Maya, completely. They don't take advantage of it. They bring their passionate ignorance to the farm, or to the land.
But Srila Prabhupada wanted that East meets West. Yes, he wanted East meets West.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is somehow it is not coming from Lord Chaitanya, it is coming more from Srila Prabhupada. But nevertheless, the Goswamis, they were preaching this Vaishnava cult.
Yes.
Vaishnava cult, not any different cults. Yes, and that's why my question is it such a weak cult that we can't, take more people and more facilities to this movement? Because to compare with all this, it is little, very, very little.
Yes.
How it happened, that is my question. Yes.
And we are so weak. Yeah. Well, Prabhupada says here, you have to follow the four principles. Sometimes Prabhupada got letters, and the letter said, "Oh, Prabhupada, our temple has," and Prabhupada just answered, "From your letter I can see that you're not following the four principles and not chanting your 16 rounds." That's all Prabhupada said. He didn't say you have to wash the floor better or something like, or make more money or like that. Because when devotees follow these principles and chant nicely, automatically Krishna blesses them more and more and more. Yeah. So do it. Oh, sorry. And inspire others to do the same. Yeah? Yeah. Actually, you're an example. Yeah? You've taken this preaching mission very serious. And Prabhupada's heart's desire was that his books be distributed everywhere, presented everywhere. Yeah.
You and Srila Prabhupada. That's all.
I have not so much. It's more Prabhupada, undoubtedly. I can only repeat what Prabhupada said, or repeat his instructions. That's all. Yeah. But when there is book distribution in the center, things start happening very nicely. Yeah. Books means translating the books, printing the books, distributing the books, teaching the books, presenting the books in libraries and also important people like that. Yeah. We had a library party. When Prabhupada was still there, we had a library party. It was under the guidance of Satsvaru Maharaj at that time. He sent devotees all over the world to present Prabhupada's books at the universities, libraries, like that. They also went to the communist countries. No? But not in dhoti. They went in suit with strips from Kragen, and they presented themselves as representatives of the Bhakti Vedanta Book Trust, of Indian philosophy books like that. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because all the other things, all these prayers, they are easier. It's easier to understand, to follow than what we are doing. So that's what it's more easy. Oh, thank you, now we have taken all, now I can do again, or something like this. It's more primitive.
Yeah. And you should be more and more convinced that distributing Srila Prabhupada's books or putting Srila Prabhupada's books in the center, it's just a question of time that the result will come. Yeah. Just like the farmer, he goes on the farm and he throws the seeds everywhere. But then he's also coming and I say, I don't know in Spanish, cosecha, ante, no? What is it in English? Huh? The harvest. No? That means when people come to the temple, or when they come to our festivals, to our programs, preaching and all this, we should take care very nicely of them. Yeah? Treat them very nicely, encourage them to make their next steps. Take part in the singing, eat prasad. And when it's properly done, they will never forget. They will, wow, this was... Like when I travel, when I fly, often I meet people who say, Hare Krishna. Even immigration, they say, oh, Hare Krishna. They already know. I was once in the customs in Colombia, where they have a lot of delinquency, criminal, drug gangs and all this. And so the guy, the custom guy, he never saw a devotee before. He stared, and then he wanted to see, he just wanted to see what I have in my I say coffer, yeah, in my suit. And I had a Bhagavatam there. He opened it, saw the Bhagavatam. He took it up, opened it. No? Oh, religious. Okay. Yeah, so, yes, just We used to say here in Germany, einfach weitermachen. Just continue. And inspire others also to distribute books. What do you think? We're doing this already, no? You have your leaflet inviting people to participate. Just, yeah, it's just a question of time that somebody comes. Yeah? Eager to learn from you. Become inspired by your determination. No? Yeah.
That is all your determination.
Yeah. When I tell devotees, no, outside Germany, when I tell devotees, I have a disciple, she's more than 70 years old, and distributes so many books in the street. Normally when you get old, you tend to retire and be with your grandson and granddaughter and nothing. Yeah, and that's a good fame. Das ist wirklicher, was man, Ruhm. Ne? Not to do something, many girlfriends and many men and this, a lot of money. And Paul mentioned this here. No? Actually, they're just eager, in passion, they're just eager for money. You know? And just imagine that somebody has 1 million. No? Why does he need more than what he needs, actually? There's people who have many millions, hundreds of millions. Now they speak about billions. No? Yeah. What for? No? Paul used to say, a billionaire also just takes the same amount of food that maybe we take. No? Yeah? No? And he also needs a rest every now and then, same thing. No? When he sleeps in a super bed and he sleeps, he forgets it. The Schlafraum, or the comfort there. Yeah. Yeah. It's all the same. And actually, when you have more money, you become more anxious because there's so many envious people and gangsters and cheating and all this. Yeah. Whereas devotees, they have this concept, nirmama. Nothing is mine. Alles gehört Krishna. Nirmama. Yeah. So when we get donations, it's a big responsibility. You know? When people give us donations, sannyasis or spiritual masters, it's a huge responsibility that you have to use in a way that they benefit. I say. Yeah? The reason they give a donation is because they want to become purified. You know? And you have to use these donations responsibly, how say? So they get benefit. Otherwise it's just cheating. Yeah. Sorry, I went over time here. Hare Krishna. What was the verse? Anybody remembers what the verse was? The verse I went to Chaitanya Charitamrita? What does this verse say? That I said it's one of my